What's going on, guys? I am here with a Syndicate member who, sadly, I'm kind of bummed out. He's graduating. He's actually leaving the Syndicate pretty much as of today, actually. And this is Christian on the line with me. And Christian's been a member for the last 12 months. And he sent me this really awesome email about how he really enjoyed his time in the Syndicate, learned a lot. And most importantly, he feels pretty encouraged. And not only that, he's actually doing a lot of music right now, supplying a music library. He has a whole bunch of other, gigs that he's doing right now that's basically bringing him his income. And he also told me he's doing music full time, which is like no easy feat. So Christian, first of all, congrats on that, man. That's one of those, like, it's just a dream come true for most producers. So you've definitely reached a level of, security that a lot of producers and musicians really wish they had, man. So you got something good going. But he also is now continuing to build up his catalog with libraries because he wants to get that passive income through the performance royalties that you get quarter after quarter. So Christian, welcome, man. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So walk me through your history before finding the Syndicate. What was your experience in the music licensing world before you found me or any of the videos that I had put out there?
Yeah, so I had zero experience in the music licensing world before finding you. I kind of knew about it. I had heard of composers who were able to, make a living that way, and I was definitely intrigued. And so just in like scouring YouTube or the internet or anything for any helpful advice, found your videos. And the thing that really struck me and why I pulled the trigger on getting the course and being in the group is just, I mean, first of all, you know what you're talking about, but second of all, like, you actually get really helpful information. And I was telling you a little bit, and I feel like a lot of music educators there, I just feel like there's the cap where, like, once you hit it, like, they don't tell you the next bit of like really helpful information. And even just from your YouTube videos, I was like, man, this is like actionable, really good info. Um, so yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, man. That means a lot. I've definitely noticed that as well, and that's kind of why I started my entire program. The one thing that people need to be aware of is that there are a lot of people out there that teach this stuff, and very few of them actually do it full time. They might have a lot of knowledge. They might have read a lot of books. They've read a lot of blogs. They've met other people who are in the business, but somebody who's actually doing this day in and day out, it's like that difference between getting the textbook version of, knowledge and the actualized in the field, in the trenches every day in the business. And I pride myself on providing that practical knowledge that you're not going to find that stuff in a textbook, and you're certainly not going to find it from a professor or from a music college, from people who are maybe at one point they were in the business, but it's been decades and they're now just educating. So it's one of the reasons why I still produce music for the licensing business. I mean, I love making music. Obviously, that's number one. But a close second reason is to keep myself fresh. Like, I need to know what's going on in the business so that when I'm educating you guys, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm not just reading other people's opinions. I'm just hearing through the grapevine, oh yeah, this is how it works. Because you're absolutely right. A lot of people do sort of like lead you to a certain point and then leave you hanging, give you just enough rope to hang yourself. And you're excited about it, but you really don't know how to go on to the next steps. I'm really glad that you're taking those actions. Why don't you walk me through, in the last year, some of the biggest challenges, or maybe one or two really big challenges that you faced where you really got demotivated, or maybe you just felt like, I don't know if this is really going to work out for me. Did you have any sort of moments of, either rejection or just some big obstacle that really was hard to get through?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if there was like one particular moment that I can really think of, but when you're first starting, you've got all your dreams and hopes and you're really excited. And then at some point, and I think this is kind of maybe a long period that happens, you realize, like, this is life and this is a grind and this is hard work, and it's not going to happen immediately. Like, there's no get rich quick anything. I mean, as a general principle, I think that's true. And so I think pushing through that is when you can kind of feel encouraged again and feel like, okay, I can actually make this happen. But it just kind of takes some time, I think. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's that sort of realization, because there is that, you're right. There's a meeting between the dream, like you visualize your future life, right? You're waking up every day, you're just making music, and you're just like giving yourself goosebumps and you love it, right? And you're just getting high on your own supply all the time. And people are just paying you for this incredible thing you love doing. And that's the dream, right? That's way up here. And then when you start taking those first steps into the business, you realize it's a lot of work. Like it's really a job in many ways, like you said. And so you have to every day get back in there, and not, and I'm sure you can testify that you don't always feel creative every single day. I'm sure you don't wake up every day just completely inspired and having all these beautiful musical ideas just raining upon you. Like some days I'm sure it's like, it's just, you know, you got to pull it out of somewhere, right? Or you just have to just throw something into your DAW to get yourself going, right? When you don't even feel like doing it. And that is really what you've just described is the difference between a professional and an amateur. An amateur feels that and goes, all right, I'm going to go play video games. I'm done. That's it. Creativity is just gone today, so I just won't do it. But a professional is, I'm here to pay bills. Like I got to get this done. Like this has got to be something that's going to be my life. And even if I don't really feel quite like doing it, I still got to muscle through it. I got to figure out how to inspire myself. Maybe take a quick 5-10 minute break and come right back. Not give up for the day, not give up for the week, and certainly always finishing the track that I started. That's one thing that I think, you know, for most producers that feel that fatigue and that burnout because they're not finishing the tracks that they start. So, but a little bit of a side. So being a part of the Syndicate, what would you say would be some of the biggest things that you've gained that you will now be taking with you moving forward? If there are a couple of things you can kind of off the top of your head pick out.
Yeah. So I don't have like a full-time income right now from music licensing, just because like I've only been in it for so long, and there's kind of the time period barrier to entry where like the royalties got to catch up. But I am doing like all my income is music, which I feel just blessed, you know, like um but one of the hugest things that has led me to be able to do that, which has definitely come from the Syndicate, is like working fast and a deadline. Like any of the like custom gigs that come through, those are really awesome for that, where it's like, hey, this is due tomorrow. And you gotta, you know, crank something out. And you know, I've definitely had, and this is becoming more common, and you get used to it and you actually start to enjoy it, where there's this high pressure deadline, it's like ridiculous, and you're up maybe, you know, way longer than you should be into the night, but you just make it happen, because like nobody's going to give you anything just because. Like you got to earn it and just work and make it happen, and there's no excuses, you know. Like it's easy to just be like, oh, I don't need to be doing this, or oh, this is ridiculous, or whatever, but you just got to make it happen. And that's, I think that like culture, there's kind of a culture of that in the Syndicate, which I love, of just like, just do the work, you know?
That's it. That was our number one rule when I started it about a year and a half ago. We didn't really have any rules written at all. And I was like, we got to have some rule, right? It's a group. Like we got to have some sort of a common, or not a rule, but like a motto. And I don't remember where that came from. Somebody had said it or something. And I just realized, you know, just do the work is the entire philosophy, which is like, don't give excuses. Like he was saying, you know, if you have a deadline in front of you, it's 24 hours. Yeah, you could say like, oh, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not inspired. Or I had this other thing I was going to do. Okay. It's just choices and consequences though. If you want to succeed, there are plenty of producers that are lazy. There are plenty of producers that can make all these excuses. But if you want to be one of the few, like small fraction of a percent that go on to do this full time, just do the work. I mean, that's why that is such a golden motto. And I think it really fits us really well. And I've definitely learned that myself, that if I'm not showing up and consistently giving my clients and my libraries and my supervisors the music that they need on time or over deliver, it's a crowded market. Like I can be pushed to the side. I am not irreplaceable at all. And so every day it's sort of that, you know, you're only as good as basically the last track you sent in. It's like, it's kind of a little bit maddening, but in some ways you have to keep that freshness and you have to keep that hunger to keep relevant. I mean, if you start getting, you know, fat and happy and thinking that you can just pass up things and you're just not feeling it, nah, not today, or that's not enough money, I don't want to do that kind of a gig. Well, you're going to get passed up for all the big gigs and the big opportunities that come to you. And this is really a people business, and people have to rely on you for the small gigs. And eventually, hopefully you get those big gigs as well, man. Totally. So that's really cool, Christian. I'm really glad to hear that. So what would you say is your plan moving forward now? I know you said you're supplying one library. I know you'd mentioned you want to get into maybe some trailer libraries as well. You're going to do something like that?
Yeah, so I'm just finishing up a degree at Brigham Young University in music production and media composition and stuff. And so there's a lot of music theory and kind of that side of stuff there. So I really like doing the orchestral things and some stuff like that. So, but then obviously like trailer music combines like epic production and, sound ability. So I'm really interested in that. And so I want to, and I've been practicing on that. That's like next level stuff, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm interested in that and want to start submitting to some trailer publishers. Um, but yeah, the hardest thing is just like making time for the stuff, because I've got gigs, freelance stuff, like work with filmmakers and stuff, but it's like the appeal of the residual income coming through licensing is huge, because if these gigs just stop, then it's like I'm out of luck, and so I definitely want to get that going as soon as possible. And so just making time for
That's
that
smart,
and just
man.
doing
And
the
you're taking
work.
the path of least resistance. So, like, you started out in a different place than I started out. You're starting off doing a lot of upfront one-time fees. I didn't have any of that actually when I first started. So for the first couple of years, I had no upfront money and no back end money. I was waiting for those royalties to come in. So at least in the beginning of your career, you have something, and you have enough to make your full-time income, which is, I know you have things you're going to build to, but man, that is like, I would totally switch places with you. I would rather have that when I first started, because it was always this uncertainty of like, is my royalties going to be able to pay for this? I don't even know if it's going to work out, So that's a really good place for you to be. But you're very smart to be thinking long-term. And that's why this business really sort of weeds out the people that are just in it for the quick buck, because, we're talking about 5, 10, 20 years down the line of passive income royalties. And new avenues to get your music placed with all the new technologies and all the new entertainment mediums that are going to start being developing in the coming 5 or 10 years. So we are in a good place. Some people get pessimistic about where the industry is. You could look at any point in any industry and go, the good days are behind us. And you'll always find that there's something ahead that was probably an opportunity that people who were only focusing on the negatives didn't see. So I choose to be optimistic, and I choose to see the optimism that's there. And I feel really good about your future, man. I think you got a bright future ahead of you, considering you already have a bright present. You already have a great right now. So you only have upwards to go. You can only go up from here, man. So thank you so much, Christian. It's been a pleasure having you in the group. I am definitely going to miss you, and I hope you stay in touch and let me know how you're doing from time to time.
Of course, will do.